ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानजनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. Om. This chant means we pay our salutation to our Guru to open our eyes that is blinded due to ignorance with a needle coated with the ointment of knowledge, which simply means please remove our ignorance and bless us with the knowledge of Brahman. In chapter 2, there are 6 episodes. 4 are related to the verses and 2 are complementary texts for better understanding. Om Namah Shivaya. Episode 5, Chapter 2, verses 1 to 11. Arjuna surrenders as a student. Chapter 2 is entitled Sankhya Yoga, knowledge of Brahman, Brahma Vidya, the pure consciousness that pervades the entire universe, which is the Atma in all of us. And this chapter is a summary of the entire Gita given in the beginning to ensure that we understand that Jnana Yoga liberates. Knowledge liberates. And to qualify for this knowledge, we must be karma yogis, doing our duties for the purification of our minds. Then only we will be able to convert this knowledge into wisdom, Jnana Vijnana Yoga. Here we must understand that Arjuna's love for his grandfather and teacher and his dislike for his unrighteous cousins represents our binding desires. Desires which when unfulfilled makes us angry. These are impressions of our accumulated karmas in our subconscious mind. If our accumulated karmas in our subconscious mind are not removed, then whenever we are faced with challenging situation, fear will arise. Thereby, anger, greed, jealousy will follow. These are represented as our unrighteous cousins in the Gita. To remove fear, we must have the knowledge of Brahman. Knowledge of Brahman removes duality because Brahman is the only truth in the entire universe. When duality gets removed, fear vanishes because there is no second thing to be afraid of. In the last verse of chapter 1, Sanjaya reported that Arjuna sat in the middle of the battlefield waiting for Sri Krishna to speak. And now in the first 3 verses of chapter 2, Sanjaya reports that Sri Krishna uses 3 adjectives to whip Arjuna verbally to describe his despair. First he said, Anarya Justa. It is not befitting of an uprighteous man to cry in the battlefield. Second, he said, Aishwarya. Here Sri Krishna addresses Arjuna as mighty arm, most powerful. He said, if you run away from the battlefield, you will incur sin. You will go to hell, not to heaven. And third, he said, Akirti Kara. Your life will be a disgrace because all the name, fame, and creditability which you have earned will be destroyed. And you will be giving Duryodhana victory on a silver platter. So stop being unmanly, Klebium, and stand up, Uttishta. Being ordered this way, Arjuna felt that he was misunderstood. So he reminded Sri Krishna that he, Sri Krishna, only defeated enemies or invaders from outside. whereas he, Arjuna, is required to fight his own family members and teachers. And Bhishma and Drona are not ordinary gurus, they are supposed to be honored. Psychologically, only the sad becomes sad, the angry becomes angry, the lonely becomes lonely, the jealous become jealous. This indicates that there is a problem at our core personality. These are our past karmas. Arjuna recognized this inner unwept sorrow and felt sad. Sometimes it comes out, most of the time it stays hidden. And between these bouts of sadness, there is some joy, because Atma is absolute bliss. Arjuna's mind has been destroyed by miserliness. In the same manner, if we fail to gain the knowledge of Brahman, we too are misers, because we have not used our intellect to gain moksha. Real wealth is more than external wealth. It is a purified mind that will qualify us for the knowledge of Brahman. Finally, Arjuna, seeing no other recourse, he surrenders himself to Sri Krishna as a student to teach him what was best for him. He handed over his horse's chariot and also himself, and there was silence. This knowledge that Atma is Brahman is only given upon asking. And as Arjuna has surrendered as a student, Sri Krishna taught him Shreyas, to be a jignasu, do his duties for the purification of his mind and qualify for the knowledge of Brahman. In verse 10, Sanjaya reports that Sri Krishna was seen to be smiling in the midst of both armies, which can be interpreted in many ways. Was Sri Krishna waiting for this day? Previously, Arjuna had ordered Sri Krishna to place his chariot between the two armies. Now he has surrendered as a student, a suitable attitude for a student. Or the knowledge that he was about to teach is blissful all the way, which Sri Krishna had a good time teaching. However, Arjuna did have some tough moments. This knowledge that Atma is Brahman do not need a particular place or time to learn. All we need is someone like Sri Krishna to teach, and we must have the composure like Arjuna to listen. Verse 11 is the beginning of the teaching, where Sri Krishna said that the man of wisdom do not cry for those dead or alive. So there is no reason for grief. Asocyan anvasochastva. Universally, death is sad and birth is joy. But men of wisdom do not entertain grief for those alive or dead, because this body is subject to death. And death may come earlier than expected, but it is always expected, because we do not know which breath is our last. When we understand everything from the standpoint of Brahman, the only truth in the entire universe that is not subject to birth and death, then there is no reason for sorrow. Sorrow has to be inquired and understood. With verse 11, we will take a break. After that, we will cover two texts. First is the tattvas, the principle how this universe came into creation. And also we will see the meaning of karma, what is karma yoga, what is the law of karma, and how karma affects our cycle of birth and death. So till then, Om Namah Shivaya.